In mid-November, reports emerged that China's prison system plans to recruit over 80,000 new staff by the end of the month. The starting salary for positions requiring a bachelor's degree is set at 10,000 yuan, or $1,380. This hiring wave eliminates restrictions on majors and no longer requires connections or backdoor arrangements. The urgency of the recruitment means the bar is set very low. University graduates from 2024 onward can apply and are likely to be accepted. The positions include administrative and correctional roles, all of which are official civil service posts. Employees receive full social insurance benefits and contributions to 2 separate housing funds. Most importantly, the jobs are considered extremely stable, with no risk of being laid off. This information was disclosed by several popular Douyin accounts specializing in state-owned enterprise recruitment. In a job market where 60% of recent graduates can't find work, and those who do earn an average monthly salary of under 4,000 yuan, such opportunities are highly attractive. A retired professor from China University of Political Science and Law, who wished to remain anonymous, commented, "I've never seen such large-scale recruitment by the judicial system, with such low requirements and under such tight deadlines. These young recruits in the prison system may be preparing for significant upcoming societal changes." This isn't the first major hiring push in the prison system this year. Back in May, women's prisons announced 4,000 open positions, with no restrictions on education or specialization. The acceptance rate was as high as 80%. The frequency and scale of these recruitments raise questions about what might be happening. Online, public reactions have ranged from jokes to genuine questions. Hiring 80,000 for prisons? Are they planning to arrest 800,000 people? They must be preparing for mass arrests, just in case. Economic collapse, social unrest. This expansion is likely a signal. Beneath the humor lies worries about social stability and uncertainty about the future. Others speculated about potential target groups. Are unemployed people about to be locked up? Will those who don't marry or have kids be targeted? How many night riders have been arrested lately? If they arrest people for online comments, even these expanded prisons won't be enough. Some even joked about turning themselves in. Might as well get caught, at least the state will cover my food and lodging. These fears are not unfounded. A recent high-profile car ramming incident in Zhuhai caused multiple casualties and drew significant attention from top officials. Reports say that Chinese President Xi Jinping ordered stricter risk prevention measures. This led to intensified social risk assessment across various regions. A leaked screenshot from a Community Party Secretary group chat revealed that local authorities are being instructed to closely monitor 2 key groups. The so-called 8 Lost. Those who have lost investments, jobs, life satisfaction, emotional relationships, social harmony, mental balance, mental health, or parental oversight in youth. The 3 Lows and 3 Lesses group. Those with low income, low status, and low social recognition, as well as minimal social interactions, limited mobility, and few support channels. In other words, anyone struggling financially or mentally could become a key focus of surveillance. This broad social control appears to be aimed at addressing China's worsening economic crisis. The situation has already reached a tipping point. Unemployment continues to rise, incomes are declining, and crime rates are climbing. Observations from grassroots levels confirm that detention centers and prisons are nearing full capacity, with many already overcrowded. In response, China is undergoing an unprecedented wave of prison expansion. Public data shows that nearly every province is simultaneously advancing large-scale prison construction and renovation projects. The speed and scope of these efforts are staggering. In economically developed coastal areas, the expansion is particularly intense. For instance, Fuzhou Prison in Fujian Province has invested 140 million yuan to build 18,000 square meters of new facilities, adding capacity for 1,000 inmates. Meanwhile, the expansion of Chaosi Prison in Hangzhou, Zhejiang Province is even more striking, covering an area equivalent to 34 standard soccer fields. Such large-scale construction during peacetime is highly unusual. In central China, provinces like Henan, Hubei, and Hunan are also undertaking massive prison expansion projects. Hunan alone has invested 78 million yuan in the Zhishan prison project, along with expansions for Deshan prison and the second women's prison. According to a source within Hunan's judicial system, this is the largest expansion in history, adding capacity for over 5,000 new inmates. In western China, the expansion of Chengdu Prison in Sichuan province has set a new investment record. The project involves 340 million yuan, covers 10 hectares, and includes 66,000 square meters of new facilities, designed to house 2,000 inmates. However, the most striking development is the construction of a secret prison network specifically designed for fallen officials. This lesser-known initiative is unfolding on a nationwide scale. Each prefecture-level city is building such facilities. Individual prisons require investments of 300 to 500 million yuan each. Around 500 of these prisons are expected to be completed across the country. The total cost could exceed 2 billion yuan. A source familiar with the matter explained that these prisons began construction within the last 2 years. They said, for instance, in Zhejiang, nearly every region, including Lishui, Jinhua, and Jiaxing, has one. These facilities reportedly offer luxurious conditions, including single cells with private bathrooms, study rooms, and even fitness areas, intended exclusively for officials who have been removed from their posts. If calculated based on current administrative divisions, these prisons could collectively house up to 1 million individuals. An analyst noted, that's less than 0.05% of the entire civil servant and state-owned enterprise system of 200 million people, clearly targeting high-ranking officials. This comment hinted at an impending political purge. Ironically, much of the funding for these prisons comes from assets seized from corrupt officials. A political commentator remarked, they're using money taken from the people's hard-earned savings to build these golden cages, where they will eventually live out their days. The wave of prison expansion reflects growing concerns among authorities about rising social unrest. Against the backdrop of a declining economy, increasing unemployment, and deepening societal tensions, various forms of protests are intensifying. The first major challenge comes from labor rights. Worker protests have evolved from traditional wage disputes to broader demands for better working conditions and social security. In 2023, layoffs in the tech sector, food delivery platforms, and manufacturing industries sparked a new wave of labor movements. In the Pearl River Delta region alone, labor-related incidents increased by over 40%. Authorities are particularly worried about individuals with organizational skills, as targeting just 1% of these key leaders would have a significant impact on millions of industrial workers. The second challenge stems from protests in the real estate sector. Across the country, groups of homeowners have organized mortgage boycott movements for unfinished properties. These protesters, often middle class and highly educated, are adept at using legal tools and mobilizing support through social media. Each project typically has 3 to 5 key leaders who represent the homeowners. Cumulatively, these leaders form a considerable number. Authorities are especially concerned about those with significant online followings who can influence public opinion. The third challenge comes from grassroots rural areas. Issues like land seizures, homestead reforms, and agricultural price fluctuations have led to a growing number of protests among farmers. In the first 3 quarters of 2023, protests triggered by land disputes increased by 47% compared to the previous year. Each village typically has a few vocal activists. If authorities target 20 to 30 leaders in each county, the numbers quickly add up across all of China's counties. Leaders who are educated, legally knowledgeable, and hold local influence often become the main targets of crackdowns. The fourth challenge is environmental rights. These activists fight issues ranging from rural pollution by factories to urban waste incineration plants. These groups span social classes and often include lawyers and journalists, numbering in the tens of thousands. Authorities are particularly wary of those capable of mobilizing public opinion and leveraging media resources to galvanize support. The fifth challenge comes from specific professional groups. Teachers. Authorities focus on influential and well-organized individuals among educators, estimated to be in the thousands nationwide. Healthcare workers, activists, and opinion leaders within hospitals and the medical sector are believed to number over 10,000. Truck drivers, regional leaders and coordinators in this group are estimated to total tens of thousands. Gig economy workers, activists in rideshare and food delivery sectors are thought to number in the thousands. Other key groups include veterans. Among the 20 million retired military personnel, those holding significant roles in companies or government agencies or who are locally influential and skilled at organizing make up about 1%. Small business owners, physical store owners affected by e-commerce disruptions, particularly those leading protests against high platform fees, number in the tens of thousands. Financial rights groups, protesters affected by P2P lending collapses or bank product defaults include several thousand core organizers. The government's greatest concern is that these protest movements are beginning to converge. Lawyers are offering legal aid to migrant workers. Journalists are publishing in-depth reports on protest cases. Various activist groups are expressing solidarity on social media. While not all these groups will end up in prison, history and the current climate suggest that the government is likely to use selective crackdowns to make an example. Large-scale arrests of key figures could be imminent. The ongoing prison expansion and increased recruitment in the correction system reflect these concerns. Beyond prisons, detention center expansion projects are also being accelerated nationwide. Leaked internal documents reveal that provincial public security bureaus have been assigned specific quotas for expanding detention capacities. In Zhejiang province alone, 12 large detention centers were constructed this year, each designed to hold over 3,000 people. Ironically, in today's deteriorating economic environment, prisons, intended as places of punishment, are now being seen by some as a refuge. One unemployed migrant worker said, "I'd rather be in prison. At least I'd have food to eat." Tragically, this sentiment is becoming increasingly common in modern China. Taiwanese activist Li Mingzhe shared chilling accounts of his time in Chinese prisons, shedding light on the grim reality behind bars. A cell designed for 16 people was crammed with 20 to 24 inmates, leaving some to sleep on military-style cots in the hallway. Conditions were even worse at the 3rd Detention Center in Handan, Hebei, where 28 people were packed into a space meant for 9, forcing them to take turns sleeping. This overcapacity reflects deeper issues within Chinese society. As the economy declines, e-commerce monopolies have severely impacted traditional industries like manufacturing, restaurants, and taxis. By extracting exorbitant fees, these platforms have slashed incomes for millions. Automation in factories has further reduced jobs, leaving nearly 300 million workers in related sectors at risk of unemployment. The job market has become highly competitive, with unemployment driving many into poverty. This economic pressure has increased thefts and robberies, contributing to the rise in incarceration rates. Adding to the strain, the Chinese government has prioritized stability over reform, criminalizing minor infractions and escalating minor offenses into serious crimes. Everyday activities like street vending, playing mahjong, posting online, or protesting for unpaid wages can now result in criminal charges. A local police officer revealed, local enforcement has become a revenue-generating activity, with monthly arrest quotas to meet. This aggressive approach to law enforcement has only worsened social tensions, pushing crime rates even higher. Official data from the People's Supreme Procuratorate illustrates this trend. In the first half of 2024, there were 3,670,000 arrests approved, up 18.5% from the previous year. There were 388,000 convictions, an 8% increase. Sentences under 3 years make up 87% of cases, nearly a 10% year-on-year rise. The cost of maintaining social stability has ballooned into a fiscal burden. Basic expenses for inmates now total 16.4 billion yuan annually. Including salaries for prison staff and facility maintenance, the overall yearly expenditure reaches approximately 100 billion yuan. With 8 million defaulters across the country, these costs are expected to rise further. New forms of economic crime are also surging. Online scams are rampant. Underground economies are expanding. Gambling-related offenses are proliferating. Meanwhile, protests and mass incidents are increasing, leading to tighter controls over online speech and growing public dissent. This unprecedented prison expansion reflects a regime bracing for potential upheaval. Historically, collapsing authoritarian regimes have exhibited similar behaviors. Extreme surveillance and repression signal a lack of confidence in the system. Stability maintenance costs have reached an unsustainable 2 trillion yuan, surpassing military spending. As one political scholar put it, when a government spends more on suppressing its people than defending the nation, its collapse isn't far off. Signs of end-of-regime panic are emerging, reminiscent of the Soviet Union's final days. Mass arrests of dissidents and expansion of labor camps in Siberia only accelerated its downfall. Similarly, East Germany's frenzy to build prisons and bolster border fences in its final months failed to prevent its collapse. The new facilities became monuments to the regime's demise. China now appears to be repeating the cycle. More prisons, more guards, and more arrests reflect a government grappling with growing dissent. Yet, the more it represses, the further it alienates the public. Economic decline fuels unemployment, leading to more crime and incarcerations. Rising incarceration rates demand higher stability maintenance budgets, which in turn divert resources from social welfare, exacerbating the economic crisis. For some, prison has ironically become a refuge from poverty. Meanwhile, luxury prisons have become the final stop for disgraced elites. The sense of impending collapse has even spread within the system. A government insider revealed that while officials oversee the construction of luxury prisons, they're secretly moving their families and assets abroad. Deep down, they know these golden cages might one day be their own.